of the appointment. Anything over in that, the warranty company pays for. So honestly, I had that after people move in, something went wrong, and yeah, they've always taken care of it. I never had an issue with the home warranty.
When I do rentals that are not Section 8, I put the home warranty on it, and then I just put the magnet on the refrigerator. And I said, hey, don't call me, call them. You're responsible for the $50 or $60 of the service call, and they'll fix whatever needs to be fixed.
And that's also great for lease options too, if you're doing that. You know, if they don't want to pay the first $350, we'll just get the home warranty on there. And most people renew these things too. I mean, they're on them like 60 to 30 days out to renew them, and they get renewed. So.
What difficulties did you have?
They just made excuses that things weren't covered. Had a plumbing leak.
Was it American?
You know what?
Was it in the house or was it to the street?
It was in the house.
Oh, I mean,
an upstairs bathroom, and it ruined the wall. So they weren't going to cover the wall. The plumbing turned out that it was the grouting. And
The what?
The grout.
Oh, so the grout was leaking water into the...
Yeah, so they wouldn't cover it.
Huh. Well, it wasn't a plumbing issue then.
Yeah, $60.
I've never, well, the only issues that I've ever had was with appliances and stuff. You know,
I've had,
now, and flooding. I had one flood.
I've had where I've had electric ranges, they'll replace those like easy. But my upper end ones where you have to buy fuel, you know, and I had Gen Air in there, and they can't make it. They don't get that one anyone that replace like for like. And instead of paying $1,000, it was $3,500 for this range that I had in there. And it took them an extra 2 weeks to approve it because I had to go to their advisor to say, hey, we got to do this in that house. But they paid for everything. I had to wait an extra 2 weeks, but they paid for it. Did we ever have any other? Oh, the only other issue we had was when something was from there was a sewer issue, not a house issue. You know, it was this
Going to the street?
going to the street. They wouldn't take care of that. But besides that, I don't think we ever had any issue with any property with a warranty we had on.
You know who takes care of that usually? That pipe that goes out to the main sewer line? Usually the HOA takes care of that, and then they go through the city of wherever.
Right, if there's an HOA
If
there.
there's an HOA.
I try to buy in places where there's no HOA because I hate those fees.
I lived next door to the president one time, and I would get letters every day.
Oh my God.
You know, you have weeds growing in the cracks of your driveway. So I would cultivate the weed plants, get the seeds, and plant them in his driveway. You're laughing, I'm not. I have a lot of time at home, you know, because everything's automated. All right, so winning deals with expert contract negotiations. One of the things that, that's so funny, Duncan, stop.
I know, I was like, close that so I don't get tempted.
At the fair, you can literally get a Krispy Kreme deep fried hamburger.
Oh, I don't like this one. Do you want to finish it?
Yeah, just leave it there.
Hey, Taco Tacos has deep fried tacos. They're awesome. Right by LAX.
Okay, so we're going to negotiate contracts like a honey badger. This is, I was saying earlier, just between us up at the front, I don't know if anybody heard, one of the things that I perfected is buying properties. That's the hardest thing to do in this business, is getting an accepted contract. I used to live across the street from the man that used to design and create Ivana Trump's dresses. His name was Sheck. He's a Chinese guy, and he did all of Ivana's dresses when she was running the castle up in Atlantic City, the Trump Castle. And her salary was $1 a year and all the dresses she could buy. So they were there all the time. She was there, and Donald would come there every once in a while. Well, anytime I saw the limo pull up, I would run across the street. Hey, Sheck, what's up? And there's Donald. So one of the things that I learned is he told you in black and white. There was no gray. If he didn't like you, you didn't not understand that. Okay? And if he liked you, so one of the things he told me at that time was always say what you mean and do what you say. And I didn't think of that as being a beneficial thing in my life because I was a funky kid at the time. And the thing that I found out later is he doesn't give a shit. Pardon my French. Okay, is that French? Or is it
Italian.
shit?
Italian.
Italian.
It's married.
It-
Man.
It's merit?
Married.
Okay. I don't give a merit. All I know is dos cervezas por favor, but that's different. I know what it is. So what I took from that was is he didn't care. He didn't, and one of the things that he says in his books is you have to not be afraid to walk away from the deal at the closing table. So what it told me was is don't be arrogant, but have the confidence to control the deal. Okay? And one of the things that I found is realtors all over the place. Hello. Realtors all over the place will tell you that you can't do that here. Don't listen to them. Get the next one. Next. Okay? And if they can't do it, understand they're pointing at you like this. They're saying you can't do those kind of deals here. They got three numbers or three fingers pointing back at them. They can't do it. I can do whatever I want. It's my money, right? If I want to offer $50 on $1 million house, is that against the law to do that?
No.
Is it unethical? What if the guy takes the offer? I bought a house in Pasadena. I offered them $927,500. They were asking 1.6, and it was after repair value of 2.4. They accepted my offer on an LOI, a letter of intent. Okay, so when they tell me you can't do that, oh, and you know what they would have taken? I made the mistake. Don't ever ask, what was your bottom line after you do the deal? Don't ever ask. Don't. You don't want to know. But I did this one time, and I never do it again. What do you think they would have taken? I offered it. They were asking 1.6. They accepted my $927,500 offer. What do you think they would have taken?
Was it
$650.
Walked away with the payments.
No, it was a asset management company. How about $750?
Was it
$400,000. The people that lived there were from India, and they refinanced and pulled out $1.7 million and got on the next plane and went to India. Okay, is $1.7 million a lot of money in India? Can you you own a town, right? And all the people in it. In some places, yeah. So needless to say, they will never have a worry or care in their life in the future as long as they stay there. Because if they come here, they're going to jail, right? So what happened was they did the insurance and they did the fraud and they went through the whole procedure. And this company's job was to dump the asset. It sat right next to the city of Pasadena's attorney's house. So when the grass was this high, they got a $4,800 grass. I cut your grass bill from the city, right? And then the pool, they flew over the pool with the helicopter. It was the guy next door. And it was starting to turn green, so they had to treat the pool. It was like $3,500 because, we don't want any mosquitoes in our... It was right on the border of San Marino. Does that make sense now? Mrs. Kravitz lived across the street. You know what I mean? I actually had some woman arrested because I ended up doing the repairs on it. And I had to have the one neighbor arrested, the city attorney's wife. Because she kept coming on the property and unscrewing the light bulbs out of the back of the house.
It's shining in her bedroom.
It's shining in her bedroom. I was like, have you heard of blinds? Drapes? She's like, no, I like to leave it open at night when I read. And so when the cop was standing inside the house, I had the door open because I was telling them about it, and she came to the door. And then the cop came around the door and he says, did you just tell him that you admitted to breaking into the house? She says, oh yeah, it was me. And he says, can you turn around please and put your hands behind your back? Took her to jail.
No wonder the people went to India.
I think that could be a reason. She threw her cat litter over the fence. Oh, it's horrible. Anyways, what I learned was the hardest thing to do is to get the property. And I also learned in that story, what I wanted to tell you is you never know what they'll take. You never know what their bottom line is. You don't know what their circumstances are. I don't buy houses, I buy situations. Does that make sense? So the guy watching Jerry Springer, on Thursday afternoon, waiting for his check to come in, right? Owns a house, wants to sell the house because his girlfriend left him for a transvestite. It is Jerry Springer, right?
Wow.
You don't know what his emotional situation is and what he's willing to do. He could have inherited the house from his parents and owes nothing on it and calls you up and says, I want to sell my house. Don't be afraid to offer low is what I'm trying to tell you. And if they say you can't do that here, just say, well, tell them the counter, okay? And sometimes you'll, like this guy in Vegas that I'm working with right now, I'm training a new realtor. He says, you know, all the numbers state that the properties are selling for what they're listed at. And then I pulled up the statistics from the MLS system that showed that they were selling for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 below what they were asking for. And I said, well, how do you explain that? Duh. All right, so we're going to learn, that is the honey badger. If you've never seen the video, you want to write this down. Look up Randall honey badger video. Randall, I believe is Randall. It does have the F-bomb in it, so if you're offended by that, it's not my fault. It's a funny video, and then you'll understand this a little bit better. Usually sometimes you hear it start playing because there are people like, oh, I'll put it right in right now. Don't do that now, pay attention up here. I used to play it, but people were offended by some of the language. Basically, all I want to do is I want to move my piece of crap offer to the top of all the other piece of crap offers. Right? So I've devised a way of doing that. And it's amazing. I amaze myself at how it works. In really difficult markets, between 25 and 100 offers, I'll get one accepted. Now, that's a lot, but I'm starting my offers at 50% of fair market value. So it's worth $1 million, I'm putting in a $500,000 offer. Why? Because you don't know what they're going to take. What's the listing agent going to tell you? Oh, they can't do that. Let's just explain something about REOs. When you have a bank, Washington Mutual, everybody remember them? Okay, they went upside down and the federal government forced JP Morgan Chase, forced them to buy all their assets at 30 cents on the dollar. Remember that? Oh, Chase comes through and saves the day. Well, the federal government forced Chase to do that. I wish they would have came to me first. Because at 30 cents on the dollar, I think Ducan and I could have raised the money. I think, what was it, maybe $1 trillion or whatever. So, George over here down the street has a mortgage of $100,000. What did Chase just pay for that $100,000 mortgage? $30,000. George goes into foreclosure. The agent lists the house at $100,000, right, to try to get the mortgage back. And the bank says, you know, bring us offers. And I go in there and I put a $50,000 offer on the property. And what does the bank, or what does the realtor tell me? They can't sell it for less than that. They're going to lose what? Money. Okay. Sorry, you're not an economics major. Okay. If they paid 30 cents on the dollar, which usually most of those ones that went into foreclosure were going into foreclosure, if they sold it for $50,000, they're actually making 20 grand off of me, right? Okay. Well, wrong. They're going to make more because remember why we bailed out AIG Insurance Company?
Yeah.
Because they were the insurance company that backed all those mortgages.
They wanted one.
So they're going to write them a check for the difference between my $50,000 and $80,000, which is 80% of that mortgage, or whatever the amount comes to be. They're going to write the check for the difference. Actually, you're going to write the check for the difference. We all are. So we bought out and bailed out all the bankers. So they walk away with $80,000, even selling it to me for $10,000. Doesn't matter. They're going to get their money. So the agent that says they can't accept an offer lower than that doesn't really know what they're talking about. So I give them about that much time of relevance as being intelligent, you know. So
Is the same true for a short sale, or is that a different set of circumstances in terms of this?
different set of rules, because once it goes through the foreclosure process and it's a bank asset, different sets of rules apply. On the front side of it, you have to understand contract law. They really screwed up contract law over the last decade. because they allowed banks to negotiate notes afterwards and do the short sales, because technically if you're the bank, you want to foreclose on it. You don't want to say, oh, you know what, we'll redo the paperwork. You don't want to do that, because then everybody, the whole system is based on you sign this contract, you must now abide by it. But over the last decade or 15 years, what's happened is that kind of all went away. And there really is no basis now, because there's a lot of precedence that says I can renegotiate my loan. Okay, and so it's a different set of rules. On the front side, they want to try to maintain the contractual integrity, but on the other side of it, there is none. Okay, they just have rules and banking regulations of what assets they can hold versus deposits they can have, how many non-performing and how many performing assets they can have, and all of them are failing the fail test. So,
So if you make that same $30,000 offer on a $100,000 short sale, are they
Probably not
gonna
gonna go.
get? So they're not gonna really get their 80,
different set of rules apply.
right?
And it's all on the secondary market of the mortgaging. So it depends on what their agreement is with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, whoever the secondary is.
Okay, thank you.
It all comes back to the bank.